Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we're going to discuss the 2001 action comedy thriller. Yeah, kind of a thriller film, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So this is what, the fifth, sixth production of the View Askew universe by Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith wrote, directed, produced, stars as Silent Bob. Jay Muses back as Jay. This is like the Avengers level of film, from adding in characters and plot lines from Clerks, 94 Clerks, 95 Mallrats. Then you have Dragonflies, 96 doesn't partake to this particular one, 97 Chasing Amy, 99 Dogma. So four prior to this, and then fifth and final film being Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So this film, where am I? 75% audience score, 52% Rotten Tomato score. It's just so perfect in a buddy comedy road trip film going from New Jersey to California, Hollywood, and what happens in between. But it's so perfect because now that I've consecutively watched the four prior films and understand plots, understand character development, understand all these different things, it's so well balanced and well put together to be a culmination film of having all these characters' interactions being important for one specific unit. It works. It's a big collab film, but aside from that, it's a spoof film, a bunch of satire to this. A lot of actors from various View Askew productions are back either playing the same characters or different characters. So George Carlin plays this hitchhiker at one point, and George Carlin was in Dogma. So to have him play a cardinal in Dogma and then a random hitchhiker, it's just great seeing the same actors from the same productions doing different characters or reprising their roles. Jason Lee, for instance, plays both Banky from Chasing Amy in this, and he plays Brody from Mallrats in this. So it's just so cool having him play two different characters, and it's the same actor. You have Ben Affleck, for instance, playing Holden's character from Chasing Amy, but then also playing himself alongside Matt Damon, who is also playing himself. It's so well done. And it's so well done in regards to a fourth wall break as well. Certain moments recognize the fact that this is a movie, and the characters will just go and stare at the camera. Like, who would pay money to see a movie about Jay and Silent Bob? It's just it's so perfect. Satire aside, raunchiness aside, this is the raunchiest Jay and Silent Bob film we've ever had. Satirist Jay and Silent Bob we've ever had. I just love the pop culture references thrown into this as well. You have various American Pie aspects. You have Jason Biggs and both Shannon Elizabeth in this, and Sean William Scott in this as well. 2001, August 2001, American Pie 2 came out, and August 2001 is when Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back came out. You also have a lot of Scream references. Miramax, being the production company of this particular project and franchise, also did Scream at that point. So Scream 3 came out in 2000. Scream 3 takes place in Hollywood. And in Scream 3, which came out in 2000, you have Jay and Silent Bob in there doing like a behind the studios tour kind of a thing. And then it was the scene where Courtney Cox's character of Gail Weathers is kicked out of the studio where they're filming the newest Stab film. And so Jay passes a comment like, "Oh, hey, it's that Connie Chung reporter chick." And then just a brief little 40-second bit of the two of them, and then they go back on their Hollywood behind-the-scenes studio tour of Miramax Studios. It's so, well, not, okay, correction, Miramax does the productions, but the fake version of Miramax in the Scream franchise is what the studio tour of theirs was doing. Having Wes Craven in it as a cameo of himself, it's so well put together. It's so well executed in regards to the Scream cameo, for instance, but then also the Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back production in general. You have then spoofs of Scooby-Doo moments. You have spoofs of Star Wars. You have spoofs of Charlie's Angels. It's such a well-crafted pop culture film that celebrates the art, the talent, the culture of the time in 2001. And it's amazing to see how either relevant or irrelevant certain aspects, certain individuals are from then to now. Chris Rock playing a director for the Jay and Silent Bob movie, Blunt Man and Chronic, it's just so entertaining as well. Having him go from Dogma to then this, his little speeches, hysterical. Jimmy Kennedy in this as well, being a big role of Randy in the Scream franchise. What I also love, and I didn't really realize this until recently, is that Scream has its own spoof movies called Stab of the events of Scream, and then the Jay and Silent Bob films have their own spoof movies of the Jay and Silent Bob events via the Blunt Man and Chronic comics written by Holden and Banky, called Blunt Man and Chronic. So it's fun having two Miramax projects having spoof film series or comic series of the events of the characters. It's just, I love it. I love when that kind of intertwining kind of thing happens and you got to pay attention to pick it up. This is a great film. If you have no idea what the pop culture reference is, it's still entertaining. You can still follow the plot. You can still understand the story. But by knowing the pop culture reference, by understanding the relevance of the characters and the plot points of Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, going into then Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, is absolutely perfect. It's a wonderful, beautiful culmination. This was supposed to be the final film, only because we have Alanis Morissette as God at the end, and she's holding the Askew-niverse book, and it says the end, and she closes the chapter, and then that's it. But obviously it's not, because then we have Clerks 2 few years after that, and et cetera, more films after that as well. It's a wonderful project. It's a wonderful franchise. The basic plot of this is that Jay and Silent Bob find out that Blunt Man and Chronic is being turned into a movie, but they are not getting paid for it because they were getting likeness rights for the comics that Holton and Banky were writing. But then, and Alyssa being at the end of this as well with her sister, was just so wonderful. Loved it. Loved the Chasing Amy bit and conversation at the end, because Chasing Amy was then made into a comic by Holden. Oh, wonderful. Anyway, so Jay and Silent Bob find this out via Brody at Brody's Stash, which is a play on Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, which is a comic shop that Kevin owns in Red Bank, New Jersey. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful tie-ins. Real world to play world. So after the conversation with Brody, they then find Holden, who says that he doesn't have the rights to Blunt Man and Chronic anymore. They'd have to talk to Banky, and then he introduces them to the internet. So then they read some comments on this website that are not nice comments about Jay and Silent Bob. The characters, not the individuals, the characters, Blunt Man and Chronic. And so then they go to a movies restaurant, use the internet that is located at a computer at a movie statue. And so they then meet Shannon Elizabeth's character of Justice, who's working with Eliza Dushka's character, a bunch of other characters who are planning a jewelry heist alongside an animal research facility. So the quest is to escape the animals, release the animals to cause a diversion, to then steal the jewels and then pin it on Sean William Scott's character, who then they kick out of the car, but then it's now pinned to Jay and Silent Bob's character. So Jay and Silent Bob are the pansies in this, the patsies in this. They are then left with Suzanne the orangutan, go on a whirlwind multi-state adventure to eventually get to California, to eventually get to Hollywood. Suzanne being one of the Ghostface characters in the Scream filming that they were doing, absolutely hysterical. It's a nice culmination of everything at the end as well, and that's where Banky's character is. So Jason Lee playing Brody in New Jersey, and then Jason Lee playing Banky in California. Love it. And then the end of the premiere of Blunt Man and Chronic, the film, you have Alyssa and her sister Heather, I believe, talking about the potential then of a Chasing Amy movie and saying, no, it would never work as a film, which is hysterical because it did. And then you have Banky going out with what was his name? DeMonte? The actor, the writer who is like pretending to be like more hardcore than he actually is. I'm forgetting his name, but then it's revealed that they're dating at the end, which is entertaining because Jason's character of Banky is still refusing to say it verbally. It's just, it's a good conclusion piece to certain character story. It's a great culmination of all these characters, all these plots coming together of this View Askew. So Kevin has been doing a very wonderful job with these projects in general. I've been saying how much I appreciate the poetry of it all, has that equal balance, the duality of the harshness and the uplift. Wonderful. But the fact that this was raunchier than the other ones, and the fact that this had so much more satire to it as well, I thought it worked very well, being a fan of the projects, watching since 94's Clerks, leading up to 2001's Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So having this being the end of chapter 1, if you will, or in regards to Marvel terms, we use phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So this is phase 1 of the View Askew universe onto phase 2. So I'm curious where phase 2 is ending. I'm assuming phase 2 ends with Jay and Silent Bob reboot, or it could be Clerks 3. I haven't seen Clerks 3. I've watched everything at least once, not paying attention really in regards to like the continuous plot kind of a thing, aside from no, yeah, no, I haven't religiously sat down to do a marathon like this before. That's why I'm paying attention. So going into then Jay and Silent Bob reboot, I'm assuming that's the end of phase 2, leading into phase 3 with Clerks 3. But who knows? Maybe Clerks 3 is the end of phase 2. Maybe that's the end of phase 3. I don't know. I'm gonna pay attention. Jay and Silent Bob reboot, not reboot. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Incredible, hysterical, wonderful, satirical film. On to the next review. Mahalo.